Good evening. I'm Leland Vittert. There is now proof you are poorer this year than last, as inflation has hit a 30-year high. It's not good for the American people, and it might be worse for President Biden politically. We're going to get to all of that in a minute. But first, today was another bad day for prosecutors in the case of Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot 3, killed 2 at a riot last year in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Here is the judge admonishing the lead prosecutor.
Why would you think that that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law.
It got worse from there for the prosecutor. It was a stunning rebuke of prosecutors. The defense asked the judge to declare a mistrial over those comments. The judge hasn't ruled on that. Prosecutors made those comments when Rittenhouse took the stand claiming self-defense in the shooting. Rittenhouse and others arrived in Kenosha as riots took over the city. He was armed with an AR-15. Rittenhouse said he went to protect businesses from being looted and burned, as well as to provide medical aid to some of those on the streets. He was cornered by a rioter during a lawless night last August.
The person that attacked me first threatened to kill me twice. She screamed, "If I catch any of you alone, I'm going to kill you."
Video evidence that was shown in court largely backs up Rittenhouse's account of that night. It includes 2 other people he shot. The 2 other people, one of them pulled a gun on Rittenhouse. Another one beat him in the head with a skateboard. Take a listen.
Mr. Huber runs up. As I'm getting up, he strikes me in the neck with his skateboard a second time.
Then what happened?
He grabs my gun, and I can feel it pulling away from me, and I can feel the strap starting to come off my body.
And what do you do then?
I fire 1 shot. My rifle is down. His hands are up. His pistol is in his hand. And then Mr. Grosskreutz looks at me, and that's when Mr. Grosskreutz brings his arm down like this. His arm is like that with me on the ground, and his pistol is pointed at me, and that's when I shoot him.
Everybody that you shot at that night, you intended to kill, correct?
I didn't intend to kill them. I intended to stop the people who were attacking me.
By killing them?
I did what I had to do to stop the person who was attacking me.
Rittenhouse was 17 when protests over the shooting of a black man armed with a knife by police led to those riots in Kenosha. At one point, understandably, Rittenhouse became overwhelmed with emotion as he relived the events.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder, and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side, and I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski, and there were There were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
Once the testimony resumed, the prosecutor attempted to corner Rittenhouse on exactly how someone pointed a gun in his face. The prosecutor was trying to say the guy pointed a gun in his face, but somehow that wasn't a threat to Rittenhouse. It did not go well for the prosecutor.
He never takes that gun with his right hand and stands there and holds it out with his right hand in front of him and aims it directly at you, does he?
No, he does this, pointing it directly at my head.
And you thought that's the way he was going to shoot you?
Yeah.
Someone points a gun at your head, sometimes they may want to shoot you that way. The trial resumes tomorrow in Kenosha. NewsNation's Kelly Beeson is there, where it is a relatively quiet evening. Kelly, good evening.
Good evening, Leland. That's right. It's a much different scene out here tonight than August 25th of 2020 when we saw the National Guard here. We saw items on fire in the street, buildings boarded up, and hundreds of protesters. Now, tonight, as you mentioned, all is pretty much quiet, and Kenosha is back to business as usual, aside from about 30 protesters that are behind me. They've been in the grounds in front of the courthouse, protesting around these grounds, calling for justice for the two men who were shot and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, as you mentioned, the trial was thrown into jeopardy today when lawyers asked for a mistrial over what appeared to be out-of-bounds questions by the prosecution. Now, the judge did not immediately rule on the request, as you also said, which may be the reason why, Leland, we're seeing a few more protesters out here tonight than we ever have before throughout the trial. Leland?
All right, we will keep on it, obviously, tomorrow and see what the new day brings. Kelly, thank you very much. Self-defense, which is what Rittenhouse's defense is, changes things in a trial. It's an affirmative defense. You have to prove that you were in fear of your life. Joining us now with how that's going to work, civil rights attorney Robert Patillo, criminal defense attorney Philip Turner. Gentlemen, good to see both of you. Robert, first to you. Boy, has the narrative changed about what happened that night over the past 24 hours.
Absolutely. And I think the prosecution, if they do end up having an acquittal in this case, it can be very clearly said that they have bungled this from the beginning. I know prosecutors often do not have a lot of experience cross-examining defendants. Defendants very rarely take the stand. But this is law school level. This is mock trial level cross-examinations. Primarily, just going back to the clip you just played of the cross-examination, you do not allow the witness to testify, really. You say the narrative. You create the fact. You set the scene, and all the defendant is really doing is saying yes or no. Once you allow them to start doing narrative answers, you get those type of narrative responses that you just got, where you're saying, no, he held the gun to my head. If you keep your questioning tight during cross-examination, you don't fall into those holes. And then on the point of the admonishment, there was a pretrial discussion. The prosecution moved to have certain evidence admitted. The judge ruled against it. The prosecution then attempted to sneak that evidence in later. If you're claiming that the testimony of Rittenhouse opened the door to it, if you want to get that evidence in, you approach the bench with opposing counsel, you reestablish the motion, and then you try to do. The judge allows it, and you allow it in. You don't just do it by yourself.
It was really stunning. I was struck, as we noted, the admonishment was not just a couple of sentences by the judge or the prosecutor. Take a listen to the second time the judge blew up on the prosecutor.
Don't get brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so.
Philip, have you ever seen anything like that where it then ended up well for the prosecution?
Not at all. I was astonished by what the prosecutor did. I have to say the judge showed great restraint. I thought that the judge might hold him in contempt and take him into custody. As counsel just said, if you want to try to get some evidence in that's been excluded, you approach the bench, you ask for a recess, and you say, Judge, I think circumstances have changed. I think that the other side has opened the door to this, and you have a discussion outside the presence of the jury. This, what the prosecutor did is just completely outrageous, quite frankly. But it's something that's endemic of prosecutors these days, trying to just get a conviction at all costs.
It's rare that you get two attorneys on a panel to both agree on things. So we're on a roll here. This is the one, I guess you couldn't really call him a victim. This is the one person who Rittenhouse shot, who survived, testifying about what happened. Take a listen.
When you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
Robert, isn't that the definition of self-defense?
No, that's the exact opposite. And this is poor witness preparation on the part of the prosecution. You go through these questions, that's a completely a question you would anticipate. You go through with the witness and you explain to him that at this point you say, because he was there, because he was armed, because he had a rifle brandishing it in a crowd of people, I was attempting to defend myself and to defend others, and that is why I drew my weapon upon this individual. That vitiates the self-defense claim. So the fact that they did not have this witness properly prepped to and allowed him to get into this trap. And then also, as the prosecutor, you have to protect your witness. Make an objection, cough, do something, do anything except what they did, because they did the worst possible thing.
It seemed to go even farther downhill, as you point out, Robert, that the narrative answers that the prosecutor allowed from Rittenhouse was pretty stunning. I mean, it does set up this self-defense claim. This is Rittenhouse explaining how he felt when someone was kicking him in the face.
Why are you shooting at someone with an AR-15 at close range if you don't want to kill him?
Because he's attacking me and he's stomping my face in, jumping and kicking my face in.
That you didn't see any weapons.
So, Philip, if you're on the ground and someone's kicking you in the face and you have no way to get up and escape, you fear for your life, are you able to shoot them?
Oh, I believe so. And the prosecution interviewed all these witnesses, I'm certain, before the trial, probably many months before the trial. And they've had an opportunity to go over their testimony and what they would testify to. So they knew that this would be the answers to these questions. I mean, this isn't a surprise. You know about this. And let me say something else. And I was a prosecutor for 7.5 years, a federal prosecutor. The job of a prosecutor is different than any other lawyer in our judicial system. Your job is not just to try to do anything and everything to win. Your job is to bring out the facts to do justice. You know, civil lawyers, their job is to do everything under the law to make it so that their clients win. Defense lawyers, their job is to do everything under the law to get the result they want for their client. But a prosecutor's job to bring out the facts. Here, they knew this. And so, you know, I'm just astounded that this is happening and why they bring a case when they know that this individual pointed a gun at this individual and another one's stomping on his face. It was clear self-defense. The defense was able to get in a substantial amount of their case right through cross-examination, so they didn't have to put on very much.
And then Rittenhouse came on and said a lot. Robert, do you have an answer for that, for Philip's statement? Why would prosecutors charge? In fact, they charged after just 48 hours before really any of these facts were known.
The facts are, you could very easily get a conviction with this operative set of facts. What they bungled is the trial thus far. You heard that question. They said, why did you shoot these individuals? You never asked the question why on cross-examination. I don't care if I'm doing a high school mock trial or a middle school mock trial. You never asked the question why. You have the narrative questions. Isn't it true that you have a leading question that leads them to only one response? And once they start wiggling out of that, that's when you start tightening around them. But prosecutors often do not have a lot of experience cross-examining defendants, and so this is why he bungled it so badly. It sounded like an Oprah interview. Now, why exactly did you do this? That's not the way you do a cross-examination. So I think if this ends up failing, it's because of the incompetence of those prosecutors.
Philip, it seems as though you guys may disagree and feel as though that there is a self-defense argument here. This is an interesting question, though, because for the defense, they filed this motion to have a mistrial with prejudice, meaning it would be thrown out and couldn't be brought again. But as a defense attorney, would you want just a normal mistrial at this point?
No, not at all. And quite frankly, I got the feeling that that's what the prosecution would want. They'd want just a normal mistrial so that they would get another shot at the defendant and be able to retool their case to try to get a conviction. But I think if a mistrial is granted here, it should be with prejudice. They shouldn't get another opportunity, another bite at the apple. And some of the things that they've done here are clear black letter law violations. Commenting on post-arrest silence. Any law school student knows that, who's taken a primary course in criminal law knows that. It was just deliberate. Yeah. And it's just outrageous. I mean, and obviously, as I say, before they charged this case, before they knew it or where they went through with it, They had a chance to look at it and talk to the witnesses.
Well, they had that chance. They didn't take it. They filed the charges within 48 hours. They didn't bother doing a full investigation and looking at the drone video and interviewing everybody. They just charged, and then obviously we know where this ends up. We're going to get to that part of the narrative in just a minute. Robert, Philip, great conversation from both of you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, incredible.
This is a grave constitutional violation for you to talk about the defendant's silence. And that is, and you're right. You're right on the borderline.
In the age of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's hard not to see hundreds, if not thousands, of posts about this trial. In fact, there are out there hundreds, thousands of them. But today, many of you are seeing more commentary about Judge Bruce Schroeder than the trial itself. Take a look at some of these tweets. People are calling him a suspected white supremacist and out of control while accusing him of working for the defense. And then there are those who have come to his support, saying the left is trying to ignore the evidence. Other tweets saying the judge has been fair and diligent. Batya Ungar-Sargon, deputy editor at Newsweek and author of Bad News, How Woke Media is Undermining Democracy, joins us now. Batya, I'm fascinated from the media perspective of this, because the media narrative of Kyle Rittenhouse, white supremacist, domestic terrorist, that we heard last August when these shootings happened certainly seems to have broken down.
Yeah, it's so interesting what was allowed to come through the liberal media and what was not allowed to come through. The point you made about how the media is now focusing on the judge is so fascinating. So the Washington Post, for example, a headline, "Judges' decisions from the bench come under scrutiny." And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Under scrutiny by whom? And of course, it's by their readers, right? The mainstream media outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post, they have not allowed themselves to report objectively on what's happening here for fear of messing with the narrative that their readers are expecting to hear, which is that a white supremacist went out and shot people protesting, on behalf of Black Lives Matter, for the dignity of Black Americans. Of course, we know that that is not what happened, but that is the narrative that their readers are expecting. And so that's the one they're going to get.
It's stunning to think that if there had been the media attention on this case that there was, say, on the George Floyd case, would we have seen all of these things come out? Would we have known about this drone video and have analyzed the drone video and analyzed the video that shows one of the people who was shot pointing a gun at Rittenhouse? I feel like I covered the news pretty carefully and I didn't know any of it.
Yeah, the bias in the media is as much about what we don't learn and what we don't hear about as it is about the lens with which we hear about the things that we do hear about, right?
Yeah, no, it's kind of stunning. And now that the trial has turned into such drama, it's playing all day. And during the breaks, one CNN anchor had this to say. Take a listen.
Yeah, on the one hand, I agree with him. It was very stupid of him to go there. The adults in his room, in his life, really did let him down by giving him that gun and not saying to him, maybe you shouldn't go to this very violent place with this gun that is illegal for you to be carrying, right? I mean, there is something tragic about this child going into a very dangerous situation. And even the police officers that he interacted with throughout the evening, none of them said, hey, you look a little bit too young to be in possession of this weapon. So I think that is all true. But at the same time, the idea that's percolating among, liberal Democratic politicians that he crossed state lines with an AR-15 in order to shoot protesters is just patently false. He didn't start shooting until he was physically attacked himself.
So how does the media improve from where we are now?
I mean, it's such a great question, right? Because we're so polarized by media. You have the conservative media that's catering to its audience and the liberal media that's catering to its audience. And, how are Americans supposed to know what's true? Not everybody has the time to sit down and watch an entire trial, right? I mean, for me, what works is I have Fox News up on one screen and CNN on the other screen, and I try to sort of pick apart what's happening by watching both.
All right, well, add NewsNation in the middle. Batya, great conversation. The book is Bad News, How Woke Media is Undermining Democracy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moderate Democrats, it comes after progressives called them corporate Democrats. We'll tell you what the new name is. As for President Biden, he finally has said the word we've all been waiting for. It's not infrastructure.
But consumer prices remain too high. Tell us, the American people, in the midst of this economic crisis, the recovery is showing strong results, but not to them. They're still looking out there. Everything from a gallon of gas to a loaf of bread costs more, and it's worrisome, even though wages are going up. We still face challenges, and we have to tackle them. We have to tackle them head on.
Well, the president has now figured out that inflation is a huge problem, a top priority, he says. Given today's economic numbers, it might be closing the barn doors once the horses are already gone. And there are serious questions if the administration will abandon their beloved policies that are causing the inflation problem. First, the facts. Inflation in our country has hit a 30-year high in October. Consumer prices jumped 6.2%. There is now proof that whatever pay increases Americans enjoyed over the past year have now been more than eaten up by how much everything else costs. Few examples of things being more expensive compared to last year. Beef up 17.6%. Groceries in all up 4.5%. Gas up 59.1%. Home prices up 20%. Politico's Playbook, hardly a conservative publication, wrote this afternoon, does the White House owe Larry Summers an apology? Talking about President Obama's economic advisor and Harvard professor Larry Summers, who warned in early February the president's proposed policies, we're quoting now, risk inflation expectations rising sharply. Stimulus measures, this is Summers writing, of the magnitude contemplated and what ended up happening are steps into the unknown. Again, that was a Democrat from the Biden administration back in February. The Biden administration dismissed him as an old kook.
With respect to Larry and his piece, it's just flat out wrong that our team is, quote, dismissive of inflationary risks. Maybe Janet Yellen is our Treasury Secretary, okay? She knows a little something about inflationary risk.
Well, that didn't age well. So now we must ask, is there a way to put the genie back in the bottle, or are we destined for a winter of even higher prices? We bring in Sarah Westwood, political investigative reporter for the Washington Examiner. Sarah, it seems as though the White House now is willing to acknowledge this. Are they willing to address it?
I think it's far too little too late in terms of messaging from the White House, because ability when it concerns is almost totally destroyed by the way that they've handled the pressures that after the stimulus and earlier this year that was not going to happen. Then we heard that it was in some industries, but it was only going to be transitory. Then when it was acknowledged summer from the White House, we heard them sort of minimize the impact it would have on families and the supply chains that are driving a lot of it. Recall that White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki sort of mocked the tragedy of the treadmill that wasn't going to get delivered. And now seeing such stark numbers, we're having the White House sort of address it head on. Biden in the White House said in a statement today that it's a top priority of the administration.
Real quick, Sarah, have you heard anything?
It hasn't.
So much of the inflation has been caused by the enormous amount of money that's been put in to the system. All of this stimulus that's happened, the government printing money, frankly, that we all don't have, and now talking about printing even more. Is there any discussion inside the administration of pulling the reins back, or can they not afford to heading into the midterms?
They've put so many of their chips on the table for this Build Back Better Act. Only has to show, besides an infrastructure bill. And there's a lot of political risks for Democrats not going ahead and passing it. But the argument to make to the public that this is necessary has gotten with this economic backdrop that Democrats are really could be in trouble either way that they go here. And they run a real risk that voters will blame them.
Do you want to dive
from these massive?
Do you want to deal with the political costs of having huge inflation, or do you want to deal with the political costs of the measures necessary to stop huge inflation, neither of which are pleasant? Jimmy Carter learned the lesson of what happens there, as did George H.W. Bush. Sarah, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Keep reading your reporting. Some great pieces that you had on this. Meanwhile, so Democrats are there now debating what to do, and they are debating spending $1 trillion more in taxpayer money despite this growing inflation. Spending more keeps inflation going and makes inflation even worse. Now, Democrats' ideological battle is getting a little more personal. Moderates are now starting to label themselves normal Democrats amid their growing face-off with liberal colleagues. As Axios puts it, the loaded word is only exacerbating the divide inside the party. There was going to be a soundbite here, but it's not. Sarah Muha is here from Axios, political reporter. We're glad to see you. All right, Sarah, if you think about this, wasn't it the progressives that started this by calling the normal Democrats corporate Democrats?
Yes, but, political infighting within either party isn't really new. This is, I guess, just the latest iteration of it, right? And it's happening because Democrats are sensing a wake-up call from the Virginia and New Jersey elections where they lost pretty badly. And now these more moderate, especially vulnerable Democrats, you see, we talked about Connor Lamb, who's up in Pennsylvania, and Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. They're both in vulnerable districts. And, they're calling, and Connor Lamb, of course, running for higher office. And they are trying to strategize to make sure that, either they can win those higher seats or, in Spanberger's case, make sure that she doesn't lose her seat. Because their constituency, speaks to a more moderate type of base. There's a lot of Republicans there.
Spanberger herself was the one who said, we didn't elect Biden to be FDR, and we elected him to stop the chaos and be normal, not may have all these changes. It brings up this important point because you've got both parties violating the #1 rule in politics, which is when your opposition's self-destructing, pop some popcorn and sit back. Republicans can't seem to do that, and Democrats can't seem to either.
No, right, we're seeing this on the Republican side as well. They're having a debate within their own party about their identity and how they're going to go forward, how they're going to run. We saw a little bit of that preview of the blueprint that Republicans may or may not follow in Virginia. It was successful with Glenn Youngkin, who won in a blue state, or what, we had categorized as a blue state, Virginia. He threaded that sort of needle between the Trump voter and the never Trump voter and won. And so now Republicans are deciding, should we keep ourselves away from President Trump, or should we really latch onto that? And I guess that's something that we're going to have to look toward during the midterms.
Yeah, no, and that debate's already happening. I'm sure, I'm hearing from sources inside the Republican Party about how they're going to punish the people who voted for the infrastructure bill and the like. The flip side of this is that the Democrats are thinking of doing the very same thing. Take a listen to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I think that the results show the limits of trying to run a fully 100% super moderated campaign that does not excite, speak to, or energize a progressive base.
Where's the power base of the Democratic Party? Is it under Cortez in the progressive wing, or is it under Manchin and Connor Lamb and Spanberger?
I guess that depends on where you are in the country, right? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez can sort of say that because her base is a little more progressive. And this is something that you and I even talked about on the night of the Virginia election, that this was going to be a very clear and obvious way that progressives would be able to sink or dig their heels in even more and say, hey, this is actually not working. Running as a moderate is not working. Well, tell that to someone like Abigail Spanberger in the Richmond area, who is not going to attract or win over, that many Democratic votes if she decides to be a little bit more progressive.
Yeah, no, it's the great debate, right? It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the squad will only ever face primary challenges, and then Lamb and Spanberger only ever face general election challenges. Sarah,
Precisely.
Awesome reporting as always. Thanks for the analysis.
Thank you.
Texas jails are filling up with illegal immigrants caught in Operation Lone Star. About 1,800 migrants as of July have been arrested for trespassing charges because the state can't hold them forever. Only 3% of them are getting convicted. And as we know, it's the Texas Department of Public Safety that's having to arrest all these people because Border Patrol isn't doing it themselves. The president of the National Border Patrol Council just days ago warned that the U.S. is now headed to the biggest border crisis we have ever seen. And Americans are understandably getting fed up with the crisis. This is a recent poll. 73% say the surge is a crisis that needs to be dealt with immediately. 67% say President Biden should have kept the Remain in Mexico policy. 54% say this is all creating an open border. Lieutenant Chris Oliveras deals with this crisis every day, joins us on the road near the border in Eagle Pass, Texas, where you've been up since 5 a.m. Has anything gotten better? Has there been any progress since the last caravan and all those pictures at the bridge in Del Rio?
Good evening, Leland. So great to be with you. So it hasn't slowed down. The numbers have not decreased. And just as we speak right now, earlier today, I spoke with some of our troopers in the Rio Grande Valley, and they're continuing to see large groups of families, unaccompanied children that are coming across in the Rio Grande Valley, along with human smugglers that are bringing them across on rafts. So that has not changed. I've been in Eagle Pass in the Del Rio sector for the past couple of days, working with our men and women that are on the ground, working the ranches, working the train yards. And we're seeing a significant amount of single adults that are trying to avoid apprehension by bypassing these major roadways, major highways, and making this journey through the ranches, through these ranch lands and on trains to move further inland into the country. So again, the numbers have not decreased at all. We're still seeing the same methods. Actually, we're seeing different tactics by these illegal immigrants that are avoiding apprehension. They're wearing camouflage clothing, again, to avoid law enforcement. And in some cases, some of these illegal immigrants are getting aggressive towards our men and women of DPS. There's been some instances where some of these illegal immigrants, to avoid apprehension, they're throwing rocks at our troopers because, again, they're trying to avoid arrest because they know right now that the state of Texas is not, we're not catching these individuals and releasing them. We're actually catching them, arresting them, and placing them behind bars. So the message is getting out.
Well, perhaps it's a good thing the message is getting out to somebody. You talked about people trying to evade the checkpoints. This came from the Chief Patrol Agent Brian Hastings' Twitter account, the Border Patrol chief in the Rio Grande Valley, Jose Eduardo Chavez Anejo, who was arrested by the Border Patrol. Previously, he had been convicted of aggravated sexual assault of a child, known gang member, and then he's arrested again. The good news is that he's arrested. I guess the bad news is that there's probably how many like him that have been able to get through.
Right. So that is a perfect example of some of these individuals that are coming across our borders. And those are the only ones that we're able to catch, or Border Patrol is able to catch. And I can give you an example to put it more in perspective for the American people, for the viewers, is that here in Eagle Pass, especially on the ranches and the trains, our DPS troopers are coming across single adults, again, as I mentioned, trying to avoid apprehension. And some of these individuals are criminal gang members. We've come across MS-13 cartel members, individuals that have ties to transnational criminal organizations. Again, they're trying to blend in with these groups. So again, that's only what we're catching. Of course, we know that Border Patrol, or CBP reported over 400,000 gotaways last fiscal year. So again, these are the individuals that are coming across mixed in with these groups. So it's not only affecting the state of Texas, it affects the entire country. So it is very imperative that we have our men and women out there trying to protect the borders as much as possible by working these areas, because you mentioned it earlier too as well, that Border Patrol is just so overwhelmed, so stretched in that they cannot do their job.
I guess the question though is, it's a great stopgap, and God bless you and the men and women of the Texas Department of Public Safety for doing something. It's not easy work. We were out there with you guys in late September. It's hot, it's miserable, dangerous, the list goes on. But you can only arrest and hold so many people in state jails at some point. What happens when the jails in Texas fill up with these folks and you can't deport them because only the federal government can, and they're being held on misdemeanor trespassing charges? This doesn't seem like this is a long-term solution.
Right. So, but what I can tell you, though, the message is that's coming across, and it's getting across to some of these illegal immigrants, is that if you do come to Texas, you will be arrested by Texas DPS and will be placed behind bars. But just to give you just a quick little snapshot of how this process works. So once our DPS personnel arrest these individuals, we take them to a prison facility where they await their case. Whether the case gets dismissed or time served, we don't release them into the community. They have an ICE detainer. ICE will then pick up these individuals and then decide what removal proceedings will take place. But again, we are sending the message that we will arrest these individuals. And it is coming across, because we talked to some of these migrants, and they're saying a lot of times they're expecting to be released by Border Patrol because
you make a great point that the message sometimes is more important than actually what's happening in any single case. We know you've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning. We appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. We're going to stay in Texas, where Matthew McConaughey says he might run for governor. What he thinks about vaccine mandates when we come back. Matthew McConaughey, who says being centrist could overcome partisan divides. The actor is considering running for governor in his native state of Texas, but Texans are a little divided on how they feel. Bobby Eberle, Texas Republican strategist, host of the 13-minute news hour, joins us from Houston. Well, the one thing that was radical was McConaughey's sunglasses in that interview. Other than that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was playing it really, really cool, but he doesn't know what he's talking about because aggressively centric, I don't even know what that means. And what it tells me is that he doesn't know what it means either. It's like he has no real policy positions. He's thinking it might be kind of cool to run for governor. He's going to have to fight it out with, Robert Francis O'Rourke to see who's going to win the Dem nomination. O'Rourke feels he's entitled to some kind of office, so he's going to be doing that. But McConaughey, the aggressively centric, I don't get it. Joe Manchin after the Virginia
Bobby,
elections,
didn't that work for Arnold Schwarzenegger in California, right?
Yeah, it worked over there, but this is Texas. I mean, it's a totally different place. And even Manchin came out and said the country in general is center right. And now he wants to come into Texas and kind of push this aggressively centric. It's not going to fly. I mean, he might not be Beto.
Not beat Beto. Okay. Well, that's a bar, depending on how you view it, either low or high. This was an interesting position, though, that he took on vaccine mandates for kids. Take a listen.
Yeah.
That flies in Texas, right? And that doesn't really jive with Beto.
Yeah. No, that one definitely flies, and he has no choice. I mean, if he tried to push something else in Texas, he'd get nowhere. But I appreciate that he wants to be educated. I'll educate him a little bit. There's been about 700 children that have died nationwide from COVID, according to the data. 73 million children are out there. That's a 1 in 100,000% chance or 1 in 100,000 chance of dying. I mean, there's no science that justifies either the masks or the vaccine for children. But I'm glad he wants to pursue it and find out more about it, and that he's against it. Good
Bobby, since you're a pro, you'll know this is a real-time deadline. 20 seconds, Does he run or not?
I think he's just going to be cool for a little bit, and he won't run. I mean, he's going to throw a lot of money, and that Beto bar, I don't think he can cross it. So, yeah, I bet he doesn't.
Well, 29% are undecided. We'll see if those poll numbers hold after they see the sunglasses. Bobby, awesome to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Leland.
All right, thank you.
Enjoy it.
All right, the Duke and Duchess, a.k.a. Meghan and Harry, have a new complaint. We'll tell you why Megxit is not sitting well with them. The Duke and Duchess, a.k.a. Harry and Meghan, have a new complaint. Evidently, the media hasn't been fawning over them enough. It appears they don't like the term Megxit, which everybody used back when the couple quit the royal family for their privacy. Prince Harry's been complaining about that in the past few days. Of course, they went on to sign a Netflix deal, do an Oprah interview. And Meghan went on to cold call the cell phones of U.S. senators to advocate for the issue of paid parental leave. Here is Meghan yesterday on the New York Times podcast Deal Book explaining things. Isn't she, Chadwick? It's just stunning, the bravery and the selflessness that she exudes.
All she wants to do is help. Why won't we let her help? And why won't we just leave her alone in the tabloids? She's only here to make the world a better place and get a Netflix deal. And I just don't understand why you people in the media won't leave her alone. It's evil, Leland. It really is evil.
I know. We're terrible. We already fought a war to get rid of these people. It was called the Revolution. We won. What are we going to have to finally do for them to be gone?
Oh, you know what? They won't let themselves be gone. Right. They pursue the media attention. And so when they complain about negative headlines in the tabloids, or Prince Harry said that the term Megxit is misogynistic, which you would think Prince Harry being the face of white male feminism, that he would appreciate her being put in the spotlight and not like, the Harexit.
Yeah, he's also the guy. Yeah, he's also the guy who dressed up as a Nazi.
She's constantly calling. It's interesting. He said it was misogynistic and not racist. Yeah. She's someone who says she's always the victim of racism. She's someone who's clearly been a victim of racism her whole life. She's so black she has to constantly tell you she's black because it's not obvious just by looking at her. But they're not going to go away, and they love the attention in the spotlight. They just want all the press to be good press, and unfortunately, they're just too unlikable.
Yeah, well, and clearly it's been really hard for her because she had lived the American dream and then became the British dream. She actually got to be a princess, which the Brits don't let people do who don't come from the right bloodlines. You think about this. I got about 30 seconds. Putin has nukes. Biden has Democrats. Trump has the MAGA base. Who is the power base for Harry and Meghan?
I think it's their connections in big tech. Harry makes no bones about him being friends with Jack Dorsey and having his email address. And I think it's their friends in Hollywood. I think that certain people on the West Coast of America are just enamored by British royalty, no matter how unimpressive they may be.
Yeah, and we can't forget that Harry predicted the January 6th riots. He just let everybody know that. If only we listened to them more. Chadwick, we should listen to you more. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Dan Abrams is next with more on the Rittenhouse trial. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.